So apparently this is the channel where we watch the grass grow. So let's just do that. I will walk around a little bit here in what we call the compound and our zone B. So compound is that part with those palovnias and also the other green patch where we try a polyculture, and zone B is everything on the other side. And one of the more impressive parts in zone B is this piece here, which we call B3. The fence has been open for a while in summer, but now it is closed with the rain that we got and the early growth of new plants. And as nobody can get in here, this is what we get. So this all germinated and grew since the second major rain event, and with weather like today, you can see it is cloudy. There is no rain in the forecast for today, but suddenly something might develop, and a little bit of sun. That is what we got. And the interesting part is that the horse manure that had been deposited here, it's now the second time that this happened, is doing its job. So apparently this helps to change the structure of the soil here and make all these new plants grow a lot better than before. And here we have Tuscarora, who is one of the two mares that are very people oriented. As you can see, she wants to know everything. Sakahawea, the other one, is the blind mare, which is a shame. So we are left with this one here. Very nice horse, very people oriented, well educated. I have not ridden in a long time. Also I have all the equipment and the horses. It is because of many factors, but if someone would come here, this would be your horse, because she knows a lot and even adapts to the rider. So if you put a child on her back, she acts totally different when it's an adult. So let's go and find a little bit more green grass. So as you can see, this is all new. This is not older plants coming back. This is from seed. And inside here, it's pretty much the same. Let me zoom in a little bit. And I will also look for other spots. So this is all new, because I know that there have been not many grass plants that went dormant over summer. So let's finish looking at B3 and then I take you to a few other spots. Here is a preview. So we are going to look for horse manure and what happens. Especially over there, there is quite something to have a look at when you are into looking at grass growing. And for now, that's what this is about. So here, there are a few that are definitely now going in the direction of forage. And as you can see, there is horse manure around. So apparently that helps. I'm also very happy with the green color that we can see when I point the camera in that part here. So let's check out the remainder of this area here. A lot of that is also clover, so that is also important. Clover is sweet, clover fixes nitrogen, so we don't have a problem with that. The problem that we have is that our soil gets completely dried out 2 meters deep when there is no rainfall during summer. So we need to fix that with more biomass, with more shade, and maintaining a living green cover throughout summer. So that is the new objective. Actually, it has been the objective the whole time, but of course there are so many things. So now we are trying to put more emphasis on that. The meow that you hear is from the kitties in their cage there. That is for their protection. The guys check them every day. Now that I'm a little bit ill, it's getting better. But for the time being, they also come each weekend. So one on Sunday, one on Saturday, to do the chores and check on everything. So there's absolutely no abandonment of anything. Everything is under control. So you see the combination of house manure and the rainfall now makes this pretty good looking. And here comes Librada. She's a little bit shy, not so people oriented, and there's also the sheep. The sheep are now people oriented because they have learned that people bring food, but I bring any. So the sheep and the horses, they roam the whole place and eat what they can. But we know from last time that this grows faster than everybody can eat it. So it's not a problem. Now that we are in autumn, there will be enough rain, and given that there is enough food for the plants, like that, they will definitely grow faster than the few animals can eat them. And as you can see, they follow me because they think I will provide additional food. But that has happened in the morning when Juan was here, so I don't have to do this. After all, I cannot do it. So I can walk around and tell a story, but I can't really lift anything. That is still too early, as there's still the aftermath of the infection. So here you can see lots of horse manure, and there's growth in between. That's not the best spot. I wanted to show you another one, which is over there. But you see, this is all clover as far as I can tell. I have to learn more about plants, but I believe that what we see here is some sort of clover. But of course, here are the animals that are trying constantly to nip on it. So if the mouse is small enough, like in the case of the sheep, that works. And you can see when there are places like this where water can accumulate, then growth is a little bit better than around. A long time ago, now it's been a few years, we had pigs in here. They uprooted this, but we did not seed anything. We did not really follow up, which is why this is the way it is. So working with pigs requires that you also seed, or not much will change. And here we have a failure. So that thing here, that net, is supposed to be hot, but it's not, and therefore the animals can and get in there to feed on what grows in here. But okay, here and there they managed to disconnect the cable, and then we have half of the generation of our solar power. It's a bit of a shame how we installed this. That wasn't supposed to last that long, but as long as it works, you don't change it. But now we have a plan to lift this up, because this area is supposed to become a vegetable garden. We want to try this. So that gets lifted up high enough so that we can still go underneath with the backhoe. And you can see here the wind has moved that a little bit. I think I need to fix that, but that's easy. So put it here, job's done. This generates, when the sun is good, 4000 watt, which is very good for our current situation. Our solar system will grow, but it requires more construction. So here we are at a spot that I wanted to show you. From a distance it looks very green, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of house manure and a lot of the new things. They are small enough at the moment so that neither horses nor sheep can eat them. Of course, once that grows, they will take advantage. But have a look at this here, right between the horse manure. Yeah, this looks very good. So not all is lost. This place develops, but of course it's without management, so they can come here anytime and eat. Of course the horses won't, because they don't eat there where they left the manure, even if it's old, but others might do it. But then our plan is to take this area, fence it off, and lift the solar panels up and establish a garden here with those rows. The guy who supplies us with straw also makes compost as a recipe, so that is good stuff, and we will bring a little bit of that in here for spring and make our garden to get our feet wet with that. So here is the horse area. They have declared the outer part their toilet. They always designate a spot, and you can see they have their straw. Here we have Sakahawea, who can hear but cannot see. So hi there. Oh, you can see she likes the attention, but unfortunately, yeah, there is nothing, which is a huge shame. But she's also smart, so she is organized. So there, in that part, that's the toilet, and the guys took this out. I mentioned that before. We will compost this properly, so once the once the fork are not longer on the backhoe but instead the bucket, all this will be taken over there where we have an area that we want to use for composting, and we will take it to that place. And here is Zolo, the one that is always afraid. So you can see I approach and he moves away. Not as frightened as before. So it's getting a little bit better, but he's uncomfortable. Humans, yeah, you can see, humans have done him bad, and he does not forget that, which is a shame. And don't worry about the strings there. That is so that this does not fall apart right away and gets spoiled, because it's food. So the guys come here every day and they will remove these things. Of course, here and there it does not work, but that is outside, so I can take that. And now I'm doing a mistake, but this will be fixed soon as this area will be used. I will simply put it over here. Nobody is in this area, and you see Mrs. Tuscarora wants to know, but there was nothing that could be interesting. So see, she inspects what I did. So that is what they do. Very lovely horse. Oh, there is another. Oh. These things can be dangerous. horses are not running around here, they are walking and they can see, but one actually should absolutely avoid these strings being around, because their feet can get entangled and then they go panic and something bad can come out of this. So we better try to avoid this. So I will walk around a little bit off camera, and when I see something then I invite you in. So let's see what else I can find here. I can also say a few words about that. The guys left this fencing work half finished. They will continue because this area will be fenced in the same way as they did in A7, but that had priority. The idea is to have control over the inner part of that, and the midterm goal of this is to turn into a pig maternity ward, so that we can have our own piglets and breed the way we want it to be, and be also independent from that and manage the whole cycle. So this is the area dedicated to this. Once we also have created a quarantine shelter that is mandatory, so without that we won't get the permit to breed ourselves. Right now we can only do the fattening, so that means buy small pigs and keep them around as long as we want, but keep them around for fattening, and we cannot breed because we don't have a quarantine shelter. It's because the African swine pest, that problem, and others. So they require us, for any kind of animal actually, to have somehow a quarantine shelter. The bovines are exempt of this because they are too big, and the threat is a different one. It's the tuberculosis, which is why roughly every 6 months there is a check. And it's a real issue here in Andalusia. It's one of the spots with a high occurrence of that. So, and I can tell, now I remember, so some of you might remember as well, that we had to send off for slaughter 2 bovines, a bull and a cow, because they tested positive. Later in the lab, it takes a long time to make a culture of tuberculosis, so it took them over a month, and they figured out, no, they had no tuberculosis. So that was a false positive. Also happens. So that makes us lose 2 animals due to a false positive. But on the other hand, it makes sense to try to control this. Is the bacteria that gets shared between wild animals and domesticated ones. And you don't want to have a herd where you have an active tuberculosis case, because they will all be infected and the symptoms show up after years, but then it's very ugly. So it's a huge problem, and the idea is to control it. And as you saw, the beef can be eaten by humans if there are no signs. That is why a veterinarian checks it out and also makes tests and then releases it, or it gets destroyed if there is any problem. So there wasn't any problem at that time, and now we have confirmation that there definitely was no problem. So we need to live with that. And I can also share that my doctors who are working on restoring my health, they are also, that will actually happen tomorrow, performing a tuberculosis test on me. It's the same procedure, because it's the same bacteria, it's the same illness, and that stuff is nasty, and you better catch it early on. So they want to exclude any possibility. I know that I have not been infected, because, as I just said, these two were negative, and I'm usually not working close to the bovines. I film from a distance, and I also have not been touching them in the time frame that would be relevant. But still, as a precaution, I appreciate, and it doesn't hurt. It's not a problem. So that will happen, and then I will hopefully be cleared of any of those doubts. And won't go into details, but there will be more tests and more things to figure out what had been infected or affected by the infection. So the aftermath of a bacteriological infection apparently is a huge deal. I don't like it, but as you can see, I can walk around and tell you a story. So a lot is better, but it's not over yet. So now I have walked that far that I have arrived at our compost area. So whenever there is something that needs to be composted, we take it here, and that includes dead animals. So this place will get richer and richer with nutrients, and there is quite a lot of animal in here. So one could say it's a graveyard, and yes, it is a little bit, but that's nature's recycling. And what we intend to do when we get around to that, so as you can see, here's the fence line, and when this is a little bit better organized and we have the time, we put on a shade roof here. So a few posts and the rest, and then shade clothes on top of it, so that during the summer our compost does not get destroyed. There's also a plan to have a chicken coop in here. So we form the pile, and then the chickens will destroy it and distribute everything that aerates the pile, and then we come in again the next day and form the pile again. So here I can show you the cats where the meow comes. So the plan here is to keep them in that cage for their safety, like we did with Mr. Cat, so that nothing happens to them. Oh, and the third one also appeared again. That is very good, because we were afraid it were gone. And that way they learn that this is their place, because they get food here. So that is the idea here, because this is B2, the wannabe food forest. And the idea is to have cats in here, so that we don't have rats or mice stealing things. So the rats might be too big for them, but now that there are few, this might improve. And you see here the Polovnias. Not everybody survived, but those that have grown very well. And as long as the temperatures are not too low, so today it's a little bit on the lower side, meaning it's around 2018 or so, because it's cloudy. But as soon, and by the way, here is another compost element, and you can see the remnants of a cow. That is the one that had a hole in her back, and she stayed alive, good mother, to be there for her calf. Now that the calf has weaned, she decided to let go. So that is also very impressive. So as you can see, we try to work in a gentle and natural way with our animals, and these are the things that then happen, and you can see and observe and learn. Of course it's a bit sad, but on the other hand, it's life. Life and death are part of the same game, and they need each other. So she was there for her calf, did everything she could, and she did it very well, and I'm very impressed. and now she let go, because now her calf is independent. It happens with humans too. So you see, these palovnias, despite the fact that they were planted very late, they have developed very well. And they will provide biomass in the form of the leaves and shade, so that we can develop this area further. And also that one there, the Albizia, let me zoom in, still has the leaves because it's not too cold. So when the sun can come out, we are getting back to 29 centigrade. Elsewhere that's called summer. So that is definitely not autumn just yet. But there will be a day, and then the switch gets turned, and then it's cold. Another thing of note is this here. This is the membrillo, and this year they are very big. They are twice as big as last year. Oh, you see, but they're still not ripe. There's still a little bit left. They are supposed to be really yellow, and they're still on the greenish side. So you can see everybody has their leaves. Of course, our harvest of peach is always miserable. We don't get any because they are very small. I think lack of nutrients, and also probably during summer the stress with the water. But then the birds and rats eat them before we get a chance. So that is a little bit sad. The other fruit trees have also not produced anything, so it's probably because the overall situation. I made a mistake when I planted this. I only bought a few support trees like that one, and I didn't have any also, so that's the other problem. So I bought a bunch of fruit trees to get something going, but this definitely needs to be done in a better way. We also had a little bit, the question always comes up, of wood chips. So they were made here. We cannot buy anything, because any kind of biomass that can be used in a furnace gets used in a furnace here in Andalusia. They're very proud of their use of biomass for heating. So a bread maker uses that for their business. They use it for heating of houses. They make pellets out of it and all kind of stuff. So there is no way to get wet and cheap wood chips. They are not garbage. They are a useful and highly paid resource, and we cannot have access to it unless we are willing to pay a premium, and that makes no sense. So now that I'm here, let me also take over to B1. There is something interesting going on. So first of all, the palovnia trees that survived, they have found apparently nutrients in the water source. So besides that it's raining now, they have been growing that way also when it was still dry. Now you can see they're pretty big. Of course not as well developed as in the other places, but it's working, so they are here to stay. The other thing that I wanted to show you is that. So with the rain this gets toppled, and as we had no chance to bring in animals to take advantage or trample it, this is now the other way. So this gets wet, contact with the ground, and will turn into soil. So this is another way, basically without the animals. There is, as you can see here, sorry for the sharp turn here, but as you can see, There's grass coming up. And we will take the animals in here, but we need to protect the trees. And the animals might just be the horses. They can be controlled a lot easier. Because if you put a string at a certain distance, they will respect that, while cows will try to get to the leaves. They have a different way of dealing with their surroundings. Now let's have a look at this. This one here is a Paulovnia tomentosa. That is the decorative variety. They grow a lot slower. This was in bad shape, but came back very, very well. And I think by now it's over the edge. The others at the entrance, I can tell, they suffered. Something happened. And we will see if they come back when spring comes around. I hope so. If not, we have to replace them. The vetiver grass looks pretty nice. It has autumn colors because it's now colder during night and the wind blows here. And you can see it got curly here. We wanted to cut this and take the leaves to the wannabe food forest. But building A7 and also the other area for the pick and seed and forage experiment and precursor of our production model, that has priority. So this isn't really the most important thing. Also it is important, but it's not the most urgent one. The wind brought this here. I think that is from the dog enclosure where the roof blew off, also because of a very strong wind, a metal roof. So it's a bit strange. But yeah, this is all the little maintenance things. And as I cannot walk around and help, there's one person missing. So another view here of the trees. So from the other side. The wind is blowing from over there. So I think this is not a failed experiment. We have seen a few limitations and issues. For example, that tree might come back in spring or not. That is why this area looks the way it is, because our doggy friends are exploring it, but it's okay. This bank is now stable thanks to the vetiver. So if they trample stuff, it's actually a good thing. As you can see, what they also like to do is get on top of the pile. They are playful. They have a whole day, nothing else to do. So that's very good for them. Their dog mother, Miriam, prefers to sleep a lot, but she walks around like an old lady and here and there seeks some attention. So I think everybody is happy. And they take very good care of the compound. So if someone new comes, they all come and sniff and have their tail horizontal, which means I don't know what that is. So they get inspected. And I'm pretty sure if someone came in at night with bad intention, that would end very sad. So they are very good dogs with almost no training, because I have not spent a lot of time formally teaching them something. I always take an opportunity, I seize an opportunity when it arises, and that way I have taught them how to sit, how to come, how to go away, how to stop, how to wait, a few basic things. So you see here on the animal lane where everybody manures, despite the fact that everybody now also nibbles on it, it's not that bad. Here on the outside, where there are no animals, it's not that different. Oh, and by the way, now that we are here at that corner, the bad neighbor is gone. So we learned that he rented another place far away from here, and apparently all the legal proceedings by the rightful owner have worked. So we will now see what will happen here. I guess the rightful owner, two-person, brother and sister, they will come and visit, and we are going to have a talk. Obviously I do have some ideas, and it would be very nice if he can work there. Not in the same way as we do here with all the fencing. A Norwegian company called No Fence recently announced that they can now offer their service in Spain. It's a system where the animal wears a collar that can give an electric shock, but before it does, it will play a lot of music several times, and you basically define on a map. So think you take your iPad and there you have a map. You define a border and paddock, a virtual paddock, and after the animals have been trained a little bit, they will then be guided by the system. So over there, with no fencing, this would be great, because we would basically define a few paddocks, and the animals get moved based on the time from one to the next, and brought back to a certain area, something like that. So we can try a totally different thing. And I have to admit, in that case we also will have to think about production and sales and all that. And speaking about that, so I will add after this, I guess, or in a separate video, we will see how long this is, a little bit about the shop, how I developed this, and what the current issues are. One thing I can already tell, and it's a major issue, so please, if you order, now listen carefully what not to do. So currently the system takes your address, your shipping address from PayPal. So whatever you have typed into PayPal, that is what we get. And if that address is not right, or has some abbreviation that the shipping companies don't understand, you will not get your order. We have had 30-40% of issues with the last batch, and if you have not received your ham just yet, that is very unfortunate, but please send an email, info@kaimito.net, and tell me your email, not your email address, but tell me your phone number, because in some cases it's DHL and they will call you and figure out where you are. So please help so that you get your ham. And if you have not tried to order ham, please do. We have quite a few left. They will be cut on demand. So that is an important thing to note. And the other thing that I wanted to announce, but there will be more about this, at some point we will have fresh meat from pigs, so fresh pork. Keep in mind, those are Iberian pigs. Their meat is red, and the way you cook it is a little bit different than you would cook regular pork. But there's lots of information about this. The way this will go is, we will present you a pig, and then you have the option to order packages. So that means an assortment of cuts, and when everything is sold that can be extracted from one pig, then this pig will go to slaughter, not the day before. So that way we do this in a more sensible way than the regular industry would do. It's a bit costly because it means if there's only one pig, then we take a truck that costs one way about 300 euro to move this one pig to the slaughterhouse. It's mandatory that we use a slaughterhouse. We are not allowed to do this here on site. That will come later. There are ways, but for now it's not possible. So we take it to the slaughterhouse for 300 something euro, and then the carcass goes back for another 300 euro to the butcher, where it will be cut into all the different pieces and put into vacuum sealed bags, and then we ship it. So it's a bit complicated. Most people would not do it, but we like to do it because we are trying to find different ways. And going forward, there will be more of that, and that will also include the bovines. So as you have noticed, we have a lot of calves. Half of them are male, and the bulls are the ones that get turned into beef because they cannot reproduce. Sorry for us guys. So once they are 4 years old, they are now 1 year old, then we will do the very same for those guys. And here is Knut carefully watching the meowing, because he, as well as the other, does not allow any animal in the compound that's not a dog or a human. So these three, they can meow over there. The good thing is they cannot come here, which is also why they are in a cage, because they would come here, try to be amongst the dogs, and that ends deadly. So we had this experience and we don't want to repeat it. And that is also why the other dangerous predators, like number 8, are present here. So, but back to the other topic for a second. So, in 3 years from now there will be beef. That is the message. So I have enough time to develop the whole system. Yeah, now everybody wants to breed me, but aus, I don't want this at the moment. Nein, Nummer 8, nein, 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 nein. Stop it. So, that was enough. Now they are behaving well. Well, they should not jump on me. I do this, of course, and here and there I allow it. But yeah, that's a bit arbitrary, my fault. So now that I'm back at the house, I will end this video here. But I try to show you, let's see if we can get a little bit better view. So here you see a part of the patch. This is dense and full. I have no idea about the palovnia trees on the inside. Let me climb up here, see if I can do this and show you a palovnia that is at the edge. This one is definitely there to stay. About those that are really in there, I have no idea. We will see how that goes. So I would assume when the frost comes, that is going to be in January, February, this will then definitely die off and also fall to the ground. So it's unknown how this works, but what does work is that we have flowers and also seed. We will do nothing, so except a little bit of the cobs from the corn that are on the edge. We will not try to go in there and do something, because we risk trampling the palovnia trees. So there will be no such thing. And here is another palovnia tree at the edge. It has kept small, but it's around. To make another update, if I walk around here, yes, there it is. So the reddish thing, that's an okra plant, red okra. It's the only one that I can see. We seeded a few, so there might be something on the inside, or it had not grown. Next to is another palovnia. So at the edges they have no problem. There is enough light. Last time I walked around here, so it's pretty much the same. But actually I should check on the Tagasaste plant. Okay, there it is. So the Tagasaste is well, because now it needs sunlight, but the sunlight comes back. So this is definitely a success. Some of the corn and sun hemp is taller than the rest, but it definitely looks very nice. And that is precisely what we are going to seed in A7. So now on Monday, so tomorrow, the plan is to let the pigs in, to start moving stuff around and uprooting everything. And then we will seed, not this one just yet, but we will seed things that are for lower temperatures. And this includes daikon radish and other such types. So that's basically the pig food for later. And by December or January, when that stuff has grown enough, we are late, but we try to do something. It's more about the biomass, not so much about the forage and feeding the animal, because that is covered by bought food. But of course we don't want to continue that, so in the long run we will make ourselves independent. So the point is, they will then come in, uproot again, and then we wait until the last frost is over, and then we seed the same mix of daikon radish, etc., plus everything that we have in here. So that we have forage available for spring, will be by the end of spring, and then we seed again, but only that heat-loving mix, so that we have something at the end of summer. And the plan is to have more places like A7, so that we can do this in a staggered way, and also bring in the animals, the bovines and the pigs, in phases, so that we don't have to buy feed from outside. So that is the midterm goal. Oh, and I can also mention something else. We have done some research about a way of having green forage, despite the fact that the soil, etc., and the other conditions are not well. In Spanish they call this forraje verde hidropónico. So basically it means you create an area that you can keep moist, and you put corn or wheat seeds there, let them germinate and grow until the stuff is some 40-50 centimeters high, and then you harvest these mats. They are full of protein, and in Latin America that is very, very well known, and they use this to fatten little bulls. It works very well for them. And so I'm thinking that we should give this a try, some 100 square meters somewhere. It means to create some pans out of concrete, where the stuff can germinate and grow in the shade. Of course, this is important here, and we can keep it moist. And that way, maybe we have some green forage in summer when nothing else grows just yet. Instead of buying it from the outside, we make an investment. So that we are a little bit more independent. So I hope we will find the time to do this, but I'm pretty sure that we will. Of course, now I'm promising a lot of things, but then you guys will see how it actually goes. So this should be it, and I guess about the shop stuff I will make another video with some greenery around it. So see you next time.